what is happening? Villain Retro here, the most sexy, humble bastard on the internet, and welcome to my channel. Video games, video games, video games. We all know them, we all love them. But did you know that some of them are sexist? I know, sadly, I'm not talking about dead or alive volleyball. I'm talking about the voice acting. We've got realistic and we've got unrealistic. Both, according to this girl here, are sexist. Now, the girl we're going to be talking about today is a girl called Milenadroumeva. We're just going to call her Milena, okay? Now, this girl here is a professor, apparently. In this video, we're going to be talking about some of the stuff she says. For example, she says that this is sexist and is unrealistic of what a woman would actually sound like.
No. So very close mic'd, a lot of breathiness. This is not the case for comparable male characters in other role-playing games.
I know. I don't get it either. I mean, I thought it was pretty badass falling from that height, getting up. Also, get this. She says that Zarya from Overwatch is a realistic representation of women in video games. I kid you not. So let's dive into the hot mess that is Professor Milena. Of course, it's a TED Talk. Did we expect any less? Sorry, can I just get this dad joke out of the way? It says TED SFU. More like STFU. Oh, yeah. We're gonna listen to her speech and we're just gonna pick it apart and just point out bits that I don't think really make sense.
Don't get me wrong, I do love video games. I just have some problems. I didn't play games when I was a child. I read books. And at least 30 years ago, reading books while female meant that you become really good at identifying with a male perspective. Playing, seeing yourself through a male character, because that's what was available.
So was what she's saying that 30 years ago there wasn't any books for women to get a female perspective? Really? Are we really gonna do that? Like, I don't know, Pride and Prejudice, for example. Written by a woman, main character is a strong, independent woman, blah, blah, blah. But 30 years ago, there wasn't. I could maybe understand, 200 years ago, there was nothing for one to read, okay? But 30 years ago, you're telling me there was nothing. Professor Milena, we're off to a good start, my friend.
Later on in life, when I came to video gaming and also incidentally feminism at the same time.
What a terrible time to get involved with video games. See, if you listen to her whole speech, you can clearly tell she got involved with video games with a bad taste in her mouth.
I was faced with a really interesting and kind of troubling for me problem, which was I didn't want to play female characters. Most of the options were still male characters, but there were some female characters. I just found myself really uncomfortable with trying to play them, wanting to be them.
See, that sounds to me like a her problem. Because I know when I was a kid, I loved playing Tomb Raider, Metroid, like there's a game, Phantasy Star 4, who one of the main characters is a female you play as, who's a total badass. I didn't care. So we've established that she didn't grow up playing video games, she didn't read any books from a female perspective, and she herself doesn't like playing as female video game characters. So with that out of the way, let's get into her speech about why voice acting is sexist.
There's been a lot of conversation about the representation of women in video games. They look awful, they're very sexualized, and all that. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I want to talk about how women sound in video games.
Please stop! Please don't! What? No! How? This is wrong!
Yeah. These are actual sounds from actual video games from actual female characters. Now, I'm wondering how many of you would like to sound like this when you're performing sweet combat moves and wearing bikini armor?
First of all, these are from Japanese fighting games. Where does she get off making fun of these voice actors? I mean, they're literally just doing their job and you're sitting taking the piss out of them. Does she not understand that that's part of Japanese culture in those games? The whole over-the-top weeby thing, like, they eat that up over there. So why would these companies who make bucket loads of money decide to, yeah, let's reinvent the wheel? No, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna do what sells. Also, how are those sounds sexist? I mean, like, I'm pretty sure guys in the street don't go, Hadouken! For those type of video games, it's supposed to be over the top. It's supposed to be ridiculous. That's how they make money. Like, they love that over there. Understand that, you absolute idiot. So speaking of unrealistic expectations, this guy's biceps bigger than his head. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we know that this is supposed to be a video game. Not that, yo, bro, I better hit the gym so my biceps bigger than my fucking head.
Not really inspiring, right? It's not really inspiring. And it's actually put off a lot of girls from gaming.
Bro, put off girls from gaming. Girl gamers are literally on the rise. Like, is that not good enough? Are you just pulling out stuff from your head, just being like, this has put a lot of women off video games? Has it? Has it really? Or are you just saying stuff just to make your speech sound better?
Gaming, and it's put off a lot of boys from being able to identify with a female perspective in a really meaningful way, and from considering girls to be part of gaming culture.
How do you expect men to identify with female characters? For example, if I think of The Last of Us, how can I look at Ellie, who's like a 15-year-old girl, and be like, I can relate to that? No, but as someone who's a father, I can look at Joel, and I can relate to that more. But in the end of the day, it's a video game, okay? But I can identify with a character if he's wanting to be protective, you know, blah, blah, blah. But that's why there's female characters that are getting made in video games today who women can identify and look up to as role models.
And from considering girls to be part of gaming culture.
Absolute creeps do not accept girls who play video games. My goodness, men like it when girls play video games. We like it. You can sit, you can play a game together. It's nice, you can do something fun. I think I'm speaking for the majority of guys who play video games. We like when girls play video games. So I don't get why you're saying that guys won't be able to accept girls in video gaming because in Street Fighter, Chun-Li sounds like a girl. Now, as a professor, you may have thought she might have some common sense, but sadly she doesn't. So that's going to bring us on to our next point. She then goes on to talk about how the film industry has been sexist when it comes to women.
Really persistent and sexist stereotypes that the female voice takes on in popular media, especially in cinema, as weakness, as horror, or as sexuality. On the one hand, we have the Scream Queen, the fact that in every horror movie, in every dramatic tension moment in cinema, there has to be a girl in the background going, "Ah!" And on the other hand, we have Happy birthday, Mr. President. We have the really over-sexualized, breathy, close-mic'd sound of overflowing female sexuality.
Shocker, Milena, this isn't the 50s anymore. There's plenty of films today that have well-developed female characters. Also, something I find funny is she's complaining about how that women were over-sexualized and that's basically what got men to watch the movie. But I was on her Twitter and she complains about if you're against sex work, you're a misogynist. So I just find that hypocritical that she's complaining about how women basically use their sexiness to make a career out of it, but yet if you're against that, you're a misogynist. So is she calling herself a misogynist? Is she an idiot? Maybe it's a bit of both. This professor can't even cut out simple images. There's just a bit of white there. Just cut it out. This whole talk is literally a shambles. So all that's out of the way, let's actually hear what she has to say about voice acting in video games.
Now, to come back to gaming, is this really true? What happens there? Well, I've actually been studying this at Simon Fraser University for about 3 years with a small team of researchers. And what we did is we decided to look historically at 3 of the most famous game franchises of all time: Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Soul Calibur. And what we did is we looked at the iconic female characters for each of these franchises, and we looked at about 166 clips, 57 fights.
Bruh, it literally took you 3 years to study 166 clips and 57 fights. Can I be a professor and study 166 clips and 50? I could do that in a day.
Fights, a female against male opponent, and we counted how many times the female character emitted or made vocalizations or battle cries, and how many times the male character did it. In all matter of grunts and huffs and exertion sounds and cries of pain and so on.
What a creepy ass thing to research. You can just picture the Sims being like, oh yeah, I'll help you research this.
From 1993 to 2015, the character of Chun-Li, who is portrayed up there, her vocalizations have increased by 43%. That means she's making 43% more sounds, but what kind of sounds is more interesting? While her male opponent usually emits grunts, attack sounds, and very few defensive cries, so more like we have the female characters going sorry.
Classic Milena, insulting the voice actors, insulting the Japanese culture of gaming. Well done you. You know something, I done a little bit of research myself, and I found out that in Street Fighter 2, Chun-Li doesn't have the most grunts. That goes to my boy DJ. So she's saying that the female characters are getting an increase in grunts and sounds. In my 3 minutes of research, I found that in a recent Street Fighter game, out of the top 5 characters that have the most voice clips, only 1 was female. Only 1 was female, the rest are men. It took you 3 years to get something totally wrong. There goes the research. Down the toilet. Bye. It's okay, at least you didn't waste 3 years of your life. Oh wait. Now this next part is the reason I made this video in the first place. This is by far the most stupidest thing she says, or probably has ever said in her entire life.
The first one we called hearing her limits. And that refers to the fact that even when we have a strong female lead, we are consistently treated to the sounds of her struggles. Let's have a listen. No. So very, very close mic'd, a lot of breathiness. This is not the case for comparable male characters in other role-playing games.
This is by far the hottest, spiciest take I have ever heard anyone make when it comes to this stuff. How is that sexist? She fell from like 20 foot, is clearly injured. I'm sorry to say, most women, first of all, wouldn't even get up, so she looks like a total badass, okay? That's probably a good representation of what women sound like when they fall and hurt themselves and are scared. What do you expect her to do? Be like, oh dear, that's really sore. I'll get up and I'll run here. Oh, I'm falling again, that's awkward. Well, hopefully everything's okay, because it'll all be grand. So her falling about 20 feet and sounding in pain is sexist? What planet are you on? And then she goes, and this is not the same for male characters. I'm sorry, have you played video games? Men also sound like they're in pain when they get their ass kicked. It happens in real life. It happens in video games. Speaking of video games, a game she loves is The Last of Us Part 2. Spoilers, by the way, but did you not see the bit where Joel got his crap beaten?
Tommy! Get off me! Get off me! Ah!
Yeah, no, he was making really, this is, don't beat me with a golf club. No, he sounded like he was in pain. Like most people, because they're trying to make this realistic. So, the Japanese, over the top, you don't like that, okay? Fair enough. Some people don't like that style of voice acting. But when a video game is trying to have some realism in their game, that's what people sound like when men sound different than women when they're in pain. And when they're in pain, you hear their limits. You're an idiot, like you're an actual fucking idiot.
Now the next trope we call 50 Shades of Witch. Let's have a listen.
Your punishment will be quite severe.
The failed actor.
You're putting on quite a show, little magician.
I will finish with a lick quake or not.
So a woman can be strong, she can be confident, as long as she's a sexy dominatrix. Basically.
You can't win. You actually can't win with this girl. When a girl character is supposed to sound strong and a bit tough, it's not good enough. It's not good enough for her. Also, out of the examples she chose, again, she chose ones from fighting games, where again, it's supposed to be over the top.
I'm not even gonna address the bikini armor.
Why aren't you going to address the bikini armor? Oh wait, sorry, that's right. It's because you're against women being sexualized and making money from it, yet you're for sex work. What?
The final and also quite persistent stereotype be called hentai ninjas. And that stereotype refers to those really innocent girly girls that are just so sorry that they have to kick your butt.
Want to see my kung fu? I'll show you. Pleased to meet you. I have to fight.
I did it! Yeah, that one is quite problematic. They don't even know how good they are. They're very, very innocent, but they're also extremely sexualized.
You know what else is extremely sexualized? Sex work. A few points I have to raise, but first of all, hentai ninjas. Do you know what hentai is? Clearly not. Secondly, out of the examples you chose, what's wrong with Chun-Li's voice acting? That's pretty badass. Like, wanna see Kung Fu? I'll show you. That sounds like a threat. She doesn't sound over the top. Chun-Li, the character, is like a detective who's badass who can kick ass. Why isn't that cool? Like, why don't you like that? I'm beating a dead horse here, but Sakura is supposed to be this schoolgirl, and again, in Japan, they love that stuff. They love the over-the-top, that, yeah, I want, like, she's supposed to be a schoolgirl. That's how they like to see those sort of characters act. Innocent and a bit like, yay!
So the problem with this, well, with some exceptions, these are the main options. And they're, once again, not very inspiring.
With some have you played modern video games? Have you played video games in general? There's always been badass female characters. I was gonna make a list of badass female characters that totally destroy her point. But you know what? When I was making it, there was literally too many, and I was like, you know what? I'll just put some of them on the screen.
Now, I'd like to live in a world where boys and men, as well as women and girls, and everyone in between will actually want to play a female character, where that female character would be so complex and so interesting and so compelling that everyone would want to be her, where that would become second nature.
Again, I don't know many guys who have a problem playing female characters. If the gameplay and story are good, we don't really care. But again, this sounds like a problem that she has. She has this idea of what women should look like and sound like, and I'm sorry, because games are trying to, first of all, appeal to people, and secondly, be slightly realistic. It's not going to fit in her idea of what they should look like.
If we can't represent women as fully human, how can we think of women as fully human? We have some notable exceptions, and I will be remiss not to mention that.
So let's take a look at some of the characters she chose that are good, realistic representations of women in gaming.
We have 2 women fighting alongside in the latest Uncharted series. We have Lightning from Final Fantasy XIII. We have Femshep that everybody loves. We have Zarya from Overwatch. These are great examples of both visual and sonic representation, and we want more of that.
Zarya from Overwatch. That's right, Zarya from Overwatch. If you've never played Overwatch, Zarya fought in a war to destroy robots. She's also built like a house, the least feminine female character in Overwatch. So this is a realistic representation of women in video games. This isn't falling and hurting yourself and being in pain. No, that's not good, that's not realistic. Any credibility that she may have had is now completely gone. I'm literally done. Like, I have nothing more to say about this. What she says makes no sense. I don't know why she thought this would be a good idea for a speech. And I'm also confused why there's simps defending this, being like, oh yeah, this is a really powerful talk. No, it's not, bro. She's not gonna touch it. So I think she tried to make a name for herself, try and be this, oh, this big feminist in video gaming. But I think even those radical of feminists would look at this and be like, this person is an absolute idiot. Milena, if you're watching this, I'm sorry that the big name you probably wanted to create for yourself out of this TED Talk didn't happen. And explain to me how Zarya from Overwatch is a realistic representation of a woman, and how Lara Croft falling down hurting herself is sexist. Explain that to me and I'll be happy. I've been Villain Retro, you've been amazing, I've been amazing. Milena has been a mad bastard. If you like it, like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. If you really like it, hit subscribe, it makes my day. Thank you all for watching, I love you all so much. God bless.
Round 1, fight!
Hadouken!
Yeah! Hadouken!
You win!
Do you know what hentai is? Clearly not.